Hello, welcome to the Tuesday, June 29th, 2021 edition of the SANS Internet Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and I'm recording from Jacksonville, Florida. I've got a quick diary by the DA today about the analysis of compound file binary format files. If you're not familiar with this format, it's the good old Microsoft Office format that did predate the Office Open XML format that we are using in modern versions of Office. But of course, malware likes sometimes to use the older formats in part to evade detection and analysis. The new format is, pretty much a set of compressed XML files. CFBF, this format is a binary format, and as Didier explained, similar structured to a disk in that it has sort of file allocation tables, and strings, for example, may be broken out across multiple blocks. And so if you're just running a simple string command on a file like this, you may miss, for example, URLs. Luckily, DDA's tools to the rescue, Ollie Dump, a tool that DDA wrote to analyze these files, has a -S option to extract strings from streams. So it essentially solves the problem of having strings broken up into multiple segments. And in yesterday's diary, Didier did show an example in how to use the tool and how it can help you to extract, for example, URLs or other longer strings. An interesting blog post by Imre Rat on GitHub does outline a vulnerability in the ISC DHCP client that can particularly be exploited for virtual machines that are hosted within Google's compute engine platform. The root cause here is really a problem more with the DHCP client, but Google's use of that client makes things worse. In order to exchange DHCP messages, we need a random transaction ID. And to pick a random number, the ISC client does seed the random number ID with the current Unix time, the PID of the DHCP client process, and the sum of the last 4 bytes of the Ethernet address. Now, first of all, the Unix time, of course, is somewhat known. Everybody uses more or less the same time if it's synchronized. The PID of the DH client process is predictable because it's one of the first processes typically starting on a Unix system. And the hard part here could be the 4 bytes of the Ethernet address, but for Google's implementation, the last 4 bytes of the MAC address do match the local 10.IP address of the virtual machine. Imre does outline a number of different attacks here. Some of them require local network access, which of course is not that terribly interesting, but there is also a method to exploit this vulnerability remotely, essentially remotely spoofing DHCP responses. This is possible if the firewall is disabled for the particular host. Now, it's not possible as the host first boots, but it is possible as the IP address renews, which apparently does happen every 30 minutes. There's, of course, a limited time window here until the actual response comes back. According to the blog post, it takes about 86,000 different tries to conduct the attack, which is certainly somewhat possible given that you have about 50 different attempts each day in order to conduct the attack, and you should be able to send quite a few packets before the valid response is coming back. The vulnerability was reported to Google. Google did not consider the attack feasible, and there are certainly a number of variables here. Then in response, Imre did publish this proof of concept blog. And then we have a little bit of more detailed response from Microsoft regarding the Netfilter driver. This was the network driver that exfiltrated data to a Chinese IP address that was signed by a valid Microsoft certificate. The problem here apparently was that a developer of some gaming software did submit this driver for signing, and it was signed. The intent apparently was really more to cheat on games. So what's in my opinion kind of almost more scary than the event itself is that it wasn't really conducted by a highly sophisticated sort of nation-state attack or anything like this, but essentially by someone who wanted to cheat in games, maybe try to appear to originate from other countries, sort of by setting themselves up with a little VPN like this using infected systems. But there does appear to be actually no sort of real big, clear money motive behind it, but apparently just someone who wanted to improve their score at this particular game. And well, that's it for today. So thanks again for listening, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.